Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Shri Hanuma Vima Madhva Ramakrishna Vedavyasatmaka Sri Lakshmi Hayagrivaya Namaha. Bhaktanam Manasam Bhoja Bhanave Kamadena Venamatam Kalpatarave Sri Jayendra Gurave Namaha. Namaskara of Srinivasan Pranesh to all Sajjanas. We are going through a series of discourses under the title Vedās and Unbiased View, and we are going to get into the 23rd episode of this series. And the day on which this particular part gets released, that is the Aradhana day, Aradhana Punyadina of Sri Vijayendra Tirtharu, who is believed to be the incarnation of the great Kashyapa Maharishi. So he started his lessons, education under the great Sri Vyasaraja Tirtharu, and he is the Parama Guru of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu as well. He mastered all 64 arts and have authored more than 100 plus granthas. So on this auspicious day, let us remember Sri Vijayendra Tirtharu, who came in the Guru Parampara after Sri Madhvacharya, in the Guru Parampara of Sri Madhvacharya, and helped us realize the truth in Madhva Siddhānta. So let us remember the saint today before we get into today's episode. So to give you a recap about what we discussed in the previous episodes, we are now into the criticism of Cāruvāka, that is the atheists come materialists, and Cāruvāka don't believe in adrushta, that is they don't believe in anything that is not perceived by the senses. They believe only in sensual perception. They don't believe in inference. They don't believe in Vedās or eternal words, and that way they don't believe in rebirth, karma phala, punya, papa, Swarga, Naraka, Vaikunta. They don't believe in the existence of something called soul. They don't believe in the existence of God, and so on. So in short, whatever they can't perceive through the senses, they don't believe in that. So in that case, we discussed that the diversity in this world cannot be explained in first place, not only by the Cāruvākas, but even the religions that don't believe in rebirth and karma phala. They fail miserably, because there is a diversity in this world which comes to our experience. So one is born rich, another is born poor, one is born as human, one as an animal, one as bird, one as insect, and so on. One is hale and healthy, one has got lot of diseases, and so on. So there has to be a factor which causes this diversity, and this factor is nothing but the karma phala, and rebirth should be accepted. If not, this diversity cannot be explained at all, and those who don't accept rebirth and karma phala, they fail miserably in their belief systems. And even the death is by inference only. The Cāruvākas, they don't believe in inference, so a mere dead body is sufficient to prove that the Cāruvākas are wrong. And they say the combination of the 5 elements brings in the consciousness. It is not so, because the elements of nature are present even in the dead body, but no consciousness is seen there. So there is no intrinsic property called consciousness in these elements of nature. So the mere combination of the elements of nature cannot bring in consciousness. So we saw an example for this. Even when 100 people, those who are visually challenged or brought together, their combination does not bring sight to anybody. So likewise, any number of insentient beings combined together, they cannot bring in consciousness. That is, consciousness cannot spring from the elements of mere combination of the elements of nature. And on the Purva Janma Samskara, on the rebirth, we also went through that there are evidences present in the world that proves the rebirth, and also By inference, we can understand this. For example, even the newborn babies in the forest. Let us take a deer, for example, or a goat or a cow, anything. So let us take any mammal. So they know where they can get the milk the moment they are born without teaching, and they know who is friendly to them, who is their enemy. For example, a cow, on hearing the roar of a lion, it runs without teaching that the lion has come to eat it. And if another goat or a cow is present nearby, though those animals are strangers to the baby, they still realize that they are friendly to them. So all these shows that the experience from the past lives speaks here, and hence we can infer that the rebirth is very well possible. So basically, beyond all this, the Cāruvākas don't even believe in Dharma and Adharma. So if a belief system does not even accept Adharma and Dharma Adharma just because they cannot be perceived through senses, then mutual crimes will be happening in the society. That's such a belief system which don't even give the do's and don'ts, will only lead to mutual crimes in the society. That will not even do good to the teacher of the belief system, because the disciple also, he does not believe in Dharma Adharma, so that there is nothing that stops them. In case the preceptor has got so much of wealth, nothing will stop the disciple from killing their preceptor and snatching away the money. So Dharma Adharma have to be essentially accepted, and even if this basic is not accepted by a belief system like Cāruvāka, then that will only lead to mutual crimes. And Cāruvāka belief, they are unfit to be preached because they don't believe in Agama. So by definition, Agama means defectless words. So after saying that they don't believe in defectless words, they cannot use the words to preach their philosophy. So their belief system becomes unfit to be preached to others, and they are also unfit for a debate, because a bare minimum belief in the inference has to be there. Inference means reasoning. So if you are debating on something, then you have to give your own reasons towards your belief. And as Cāruvāka says, they don't believe even in the defectless reasoning or the inference. So they are even unfit for a debate. So there is no subject matter in Cāruvāka, and there is no adhikari or the student, eligible student to pursue the course. So hence this belief system is useless to the society and has to be thrown away. And this much we have seen in the previous episodes. And to our surprise, the Cāruvākas who say they don't believe in Agama or Vedas, they even quote from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad to prove that the consciousness can spring from the combination of the elements of nature. So they just pick one fragment of one sloka from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, from the whole Upanishad and from the entire Vedas, and they show this as a pramana to prove that the elements of nature, when they combine, they can bring in consciousness. But this is not at all acceptable, because in first place, before going into the interpretation of such statements from them, in first place, they don't believe in Vedas. And they can't debate because they don't believe in inference. Then how come they quote from Vedas? That itself is surprising. So it is self-contradicting to their own words, and the mere quotation from the Vedas to prove their side proves that their philosophy is defeated or their belief system is defeated. So this is what is happening everywhere. They say they don't, even in Facebook today, in the social media, we can see that the Cāruvākas, the atheists and the materialists, they debate on Vedas, they debate on Ramayana, Mahabharata, everything. But how is that possible? In first place, they say they don't believe in Vedas. They say they don't believe in Ramayana. They say they don't believe in Mahabharata. Then how can they debate on this? They say, for example, they say Rama is not God. It is their statement, not mine. The people, those who want to criticize Ramayana and those who are atheists, they say Rama is not God. if you ask why, they will give reasons like Rama grieved on separation from his wife Sita when she was abducted by Ravana. And then Rama got into Sarayu river and he died. So he is not a god. So like this, they give their own reasoning. So this is not acceptable because they are in first place unfit to debate. See, they are saying Rama is not God. So if we ask based on what you say this, then they have to give the reason. If they give the reason, they will fail because they don't believe in inference. And on the scriptures, they say they don't believe in Ramayana or Rama. Okay, let it be. Beyond this getting defeated on mere debate, let us give attention to their statements. So, on what basis they say Rama is not God? From the Ramayana. They say they don't believe in Ramayana, but they debate on Rama. And if we ask, how do you say, then they quote again from Ramayana. But now, after saying that they don't believe in Ramayana, how can they quote from Ramayana? So in first place, they have to accept Ramayana because Rama or none of the characters mentioned in Ramayana are currently perceived through our senses. That is the Cāruvāka's basic principle, right? So when they are not perceived today, then you cannot believe in that, right? So you can say, I don't believe in Ramayana, I don't believe in Mahabharata, I don't believe in Vedas, that's it. Even then they fail because when we ask, why don't you believe, then they have to give reasons and they cannot give that. So they fail. But they at least have to say they don't believe in it and keep their mouth shut. So when they start debating on Ramayana and they quote verses from Ramayana to prove that Rama is not God, then that means they have to accept Ramayana in first place. They have to accept that they believe in Ramayana. So once they believe in Ramayana, then there is no problem in accepting Rama as God because Ramayana in several places have shown that Rama is God. Let us take Balakanda for example. So Vishnu appears in front of the Devatas and he himself delivers a promise to them that they will be born as Rama. Vishnu will be incarnated as Rama to kill Ravana and Kumbhakarna. So this clearly shows that the God Vishnu himself is incarnated as Rama. So in Uttara Kanda, so Rama promises Brahma Padavi to Hanuman. How is that possible? Somebody who is above Brahma only can promise that. And Vishnu alone is above Brahma. Vishnu and Lakshmi alone are above Brahma in the hierarchy. And so Rama should be Vishnu. So like this, we can present lot of evidences from Ramayana that Rama is God. So if you say you don't believe in Ramayana, then you cannot quote from Ramayana. The moment you quote from Ramayana, then it means you believe in Ramayana. So once you believe in Ramayana, then you have to accept whatever is told in the Ramayana, and there is no reason to object that Rama is God. They have to accept that Rama is God. So this is how senseless debates are done by the Cāruvākas. They contradict with their own beliefs and they literally fail. Likewise, after saying that they don't believe in Vedas, so they cannot quote from Vedas. And even in case we accept this challenge, then the interpretation is not as they have done, because that only a fragment of that Brihadaranyaka Upanishad statement is broken by them and presented as evidence in favor of them. But we have to see the context in which that is spoken, the verses before, after, everything. So looking into all that, the particular verse that they have quoted as evidence to prove that consciousness can spring from the elements of nature, that actually speaks about the liberation of the soul and attaining the God. So there is a big debate. So where Vedas and Upanishads throughout, they speak about the God, they speak about the deities. So they speak about the adrushta vishaya, that is not perceived by the normal senses. So in that way, whatever reason they give, that cannot be accepted as favoring them. whatever proofs they give, that cannot be accepted as favoring them, because they don't believe in reasoning, they don't believe in agama, they believe only in perception. So at the maximum they can say, I don't believe in this, that's all. And even in that case, if reason is asked, they miserably fail. And above all, so whether a belief system believes in God or not, they have to accept the do's and don'ts, or dharma and adharma, bare minimum. Otherwise, they can cause only mutual crimes in the society, and that way the Cāruvākas miserably fail and they have to be thrown out. So now, let us take the other systems. For example, Buddhism and Jainism. So they don't believe in the Vedas, but they believe in the perception and inference, and they believe in Dharma-adharma. So in first place, we have to accept them as a religion. In case of Cāruvāka, we said they cannot be qualified as a religion because they don't even believe in Dharma-adharma, which will cause mutual crimes in the society, and we rejected the Cāruvākas. Now Buddhists and Jains, they say we are a religion because we believe in Dharma-adharma, and we don't only stop with the perception, we also believe in the inference. So that is the stand of Buddhists and Jains. So in this case, after not accepting the Vedas, on what basis they give the Dharma-adharma? The Dharma-adharma they believe in, and they should be basically accepted as a religion because they believe in Dharma-adharma. Whether that religion preaches the truth or not, whether they preach the right thing, so that is different, that is debatable. But basically they believe in Dharma-adharma. But they say they don't believe in the Vedas. In that case, so the question asked by Sri Madhvacharya is, what is the basis of their Dharma-adharma if they don't believe in the eternal words or the Vedas? So they say they don't believe in the Vedas or the eternal words, but they still follow these do's and don'ts, that is Dharma and Adharma, based on their preceptors' preachings. So Gautama Buddha has preached something, so that becomes the basis for their Dharma-adharma. Similarly, Sri Mahavira and all the Jain preceptors, the Buddhist preceptors, Jain preceptors, whatever they have preached to the disciples, that is the basis for their Dharma-adharma. So this is what is claimed by the Buddhist philosophers and the Jain philosophers. So now, how can the preceptors' words become the basis? So preceptors are basically humans. So how can the human words become the basis for Dharma-adharma? Now, let us say somebody don't believe in the eternal words or the Vedas. So then, on what basis they attain knowledge, or what are the things from the epistemology on which their knowledge is dependent on? It is again the sensual perception and the inference based on the sensual perception, which is as good as the limits of sensual perception, and there is nothing beyond the sensual perception can be understood by the humans. So by mere sensual perception, when Dharma-adharma cannot be perceived, so how can a preceptor or a human become the basis of preaching the Dharma and Adharma? Or how can the authored texts independent of the Vedas become the basis of Dharma and Adharma? Humans have got defects. They have got any human, if we take from our own experience, we know. I don't have to prove such things to others. Humans have got nescience. Even if we don't understand that from others, from our own experience, we know that we have nescience. We are not omniscient. For example, I am an engineer, so I can do I'm a mechanical engineer. I can do some mechanical calculations, and still in the same field, there are so many things that are not known to me yet, and I am still learning after 21 years of experience. And if you ask me to do a heart surgery or a kidney surgery, I am not a doctor. I don't know to do. If you ask me to go to a court and argue in a criminal case, I don't know law. I cannot do in that. So it is our very experience from ourselves that the humans have got nescience, and we see this nescience in others as well in this world. So human beings have got nescience. They have got bias. whatever is favorable to them, they will preach that as dharma, and whatever is not favorable to them, they may preach it as adharma. We don't know. So the nescience, biased opinions, and then the cheating nature, arrogance, cruelty, and so many such things are seen in the human beings. And human beings are obviously not omniscient. That is based on our own experience and our experience of others. So, in this case, how can the humans become the basis of dharma and adharma? So dharma and adharma cannot be perceived by the humans. So unless we agree to the eternal words or the Vedas, so we cannot preach proper dharma, adharma. We don't know whether the dharma, adharma we preach is even right or wrong, because we have got nescience. I mean, in the case of human beings. So one who gives the dharma, adharma should be accepted as omniscient in that case. That is 100% knowledgeable in that case. So this 100% knowledgeable can be none other than God. Certainly not the humans, because we see in our own experience the humans have got all the defects that we have spoken about. So in this case, when humans are not omniscient, when they have got defects like nescience, bias, cheating nature, and so on, so whatever they say cannot become the basis of dharma and adharma. So a religion necessarily have to accept that eternal words or the Vedas are present, and Vedas are defectless, and the defectless Vedas only becomes the basis for dharma, adharma. If they don't agree, then they cannot establish the basis or foundation for the dharma, adharma followed in their system. So, but some people argue that Buddha is omniscient, and Jain preceptors are omniscient. Maybe somebody can someone say, come and say that, okay, we do agree that only an omniscient can give the dharma, adharma, and we believe our Buddha is the omniscient, and all our preceptors are omniscient, and all Jain preceptors are omniscient. So what is your problem? So if that is the case, then how can we confirm that? How can we confirm that somebody is omniscient? Even in case of God, Vedas certify that God is omniscient. So now, how can we confirm that a human being is omniscient? So somebody else have to certify. So let us say somebody is doing a PhD, and who will certify him as a PhD? That has to be either another PhD or a double PhD, means somebody who is equal or above him. And definitely a LKG student or a UKG student cannot go and certify that somebody is a PhD, because they are nescient. They don't have enough knowledge and capability to certify somebody as a PhD. So likewise, if we simply say somebody is omniscient, then that is a pure imagination. We can imagine that somebody is omniscient, but how do we confirm? How do we prove or establish the omniscience of somebody? So let us say a person A, a human A is considered omniscient, imagined as omniscient. Then how do we prove that this A is omniscient? So somebody else should certify. A himself cannot come and say that I am omniscient. That may be wrong as well. So some external party should certify that A is omniscient. So in this case, there has to be a person who is B, another human who is B, who has to certify that A is omniscient. So if that is the case, then what is the eligibility of B? How does he certify that A is omniscient? So in that case, B has to be proven omniscient. So how B will be proven omniscient? So there has to be another party C equal to B or higher than B, which comes and says B is omniscient. So in that case, how do you prove that the person C is omniscient? So you need a D. So this will result in endless regression. That means proving, not believing into the eternal words or Vedas, having only the human sense perception knowledge and pure inference, we can't even prove that somebody is omniscient. We can imagine that somebody is omniscient, but we cannot prove it. Because if we proceed to prove that somebody is omniscient, then one who certifies him as omniscient should also be accepted as omniscient. So this will result in endless regression, and at some point you may have to accept that the whole human species is omniscient, so which is obviously not seen in our experience. So we see it within ourselves, we see nescience in others, we see all these defects that were spoken of before. So in that case, there is no way that somebody can be proved omniscient. So if you want to proceed based on the human words or preachings or the authored texts as the basis for Dharma-adharma, so one has to first imagine or assume that the author who gave the text is omniscient. Then he has to imagine that he doesn't have any bias, no cheating nature, and he is all perfect. And we have to believe that he authored the text in a good condition. So like this, it keeps on going. The imagination, you have to build imagination over imagination and another imagination. So this imagination also becomes endless. So instead of that, if you imagine only one thing, that is the Vedas are eternal, that's it. It is done. So Vedas becomes the basis for Dharma and Adharma, because humans cannot be proven as the basis for Dharma-adharma in first place. If humans have to be accepted as the basis for Dharma-adharma, that is the human preachings or the human authored texts, then that human should be omniscient. And nobody can prove that a human is omniscient, because nobody else is omniscient here as well. So this leads to a conclusion that without accepting the eternal words or the Vedas, if we agree to Dharma-adharma just based on the human preachings, then that does not have any proper basis to prove or establish that the Dharma and Adharma preached are right and will be useful to the humans or anybody who follows the Dharma-adharma. So you may ask, so you started discussing about the Vedas and unbiased view. So we were told in the previous episodes that Vedas will be literally logically proven as eternal and authority. And now Sri Madhvacharya just asked us to imagine, have just one imagination that Vedas are eternal, instead of having several imaginations. So is it all? That's it? No. We still have debates in favor of that. Sri Madhvacharya didn't say in that sense. So he just for our understanding, he told it is better, comparatively better, to have one imagination rather than making it complex and having several imaginations to prove that the previous imagination is right. Otherwise, in the succeeding mula of the Granthas, Sri Madhvacharya logically proves that Vedas are eternal and the authority. So we will be going through all that in the succeeding episodes. So as of now, what we are trying to say is human preachings or human authored texts cannot become the basis for Dharma-adharma, for the very reason that the humans have got defects like nescience, bias, cheating nature, cruelty, arrogance, and so on, whatever defects we see within ourselves and the others in this society. And so if a human gives Dharma-adharma independent of Vedas, not believing into the Vedas, then the one who gives it should be imagined as omniscient. Nobody is omniscient here, but it has to be imagined that the person who given is omniscient. And in that case, the omniscience cannot be confirmed here or proven here. There is no factor that confirms that somebody is omniscient. But on the contrary, we have got experience that nobody is omniscient. So in that case, a human, whatever he preaches, he may be knowledgeable, but what he preaches independent of Vedas cannot be the basis for Dharma-adharma. So if some belief system has to be accepted as a religion they necessarily have to accept into Dharma-adharma. Otherwise, they will miserably fail like the Cāruvāka system. Now, having accepted Dharma-adharma, or the do's and don'ts, or the right and wrong, whatever way we understand it. Now, having accepted the Dharma-adharma, so the religion should be in a position to explain the basis of what is, should be able to explain what is the basis of the religion's Dharma-adharma preached. So in that case, they are forced to believe that something called the eternal words do exist, and that is what we call Vedas. If they don't believe in the eternal words and proceed to say that the humans or their own preceptors of the religion, whatever they preached or they authored is the basis for the Dharma-adharma, then that is not possible, because nobody is omniscient here. And even if it is imagined that somebody is omniscient, then nobody can certify that the person is omniscient. And because nobody is omniscient, and it will only lead to endless regression. And on the contrary, we see nescience and other defects in human beings from our own experience. So the conclusion is, whatever is preached by the human beings or the preceptors, independent of the Vedas. One may ask, Hinduism believes in the Vedic religion, also believes in the authored texts. Yes, we do believe in the authored texts as well. But nowhere the authored texts declare that they are independent of the Vedas. They try to interpret what is in the Vedas and try to preach us. So that is acceptable, because they try to explain the Vedas, but basically agree to the eternal Vedas. But religions like Buddhism, Jainism, or any other religion which do not believe in the eternity of the Vedas and say they believe in the authored texts, then they cannot prove the basis for their Dharma-adharma. There is no basis, proper basis, right basis for their Dharma and adharma, because independent of the Vedas, the humans have nescience and defects, and hence they cannot give the Dharma-adharma on their own. So this way, even the belief system of the Buddhists and the Jains fail, because they don't accept in the eternal words but still believe in Dharma-adharma. So they also fail. So let me stop here. We will continue these debates further in the succeeding sessions. So last week I was unable to post the video. That is the part 23, because I was held up in the several activities. So apologies for that. So let us stop this part here, and we will continue again in the next episode. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.